In a quiet village nestled between gentle hills and an ancient, whispering forest, there lived a girl named Aria. She wasn't a warrior, nor a scholar, nor the daughter of any great name. She was simply Aria, a girl with sun-kissed freckles, chestnut brown hair that caught the light as it fell in waves over her shoulders, and eyes the color of deep green forests after rain. The villagers often said her gaze held the wildness of the woods and the softness of starlight. Every evening, when lanterns flickered to life along the cobbled streets, Aria would slip away to the edge of the trees. There she would sit upon a smooth stone and listen to the forest breathe. The old ones spoke of a time when magic still roamed freely through those woods, when the trees themselves could speak, and the wind carried songs only the brave could hear, and they told of a single ancient lantern, one that guided the lost and tested the worthy. Most dismissed it as a story for restless children, but not Aria. Deep in her heart, she believed the stories held a truth far older than memory. One twilight, as the sun melted into hues of lavender and gold, a strange light flickered between the trees. It wasn't the soft orange of village lanterns, but a pale, steady glow, a silent invitation. And without a word to anyone, Aria followed. The path through the forest was narrow and crooked, hemmed in by towering trees whose branches knitted together like clasped hands overhead. Shadows danced at the edges of her vision. The air was thick with the scent of moss and earth. She clutched a small lantern, its flame steady but trembling in her grip. Each step deeper seemed to quiet the world around her, until all that remained was the soft thump of her heartbeat and the hush of unseen things. She was afraid, but she did not turn back. As the night stretched on, strange shapes shimmered between the trees. Lights that drifted like will-o'-the-wisps, flowers that glowed with an otherworldly sheen, and roots that seemed to pulse with their own heartbeat. And then she reached it, a clearing bathed in pale silver light. At its center stood an ancient tree, older than any she had ever seen. Its trunk was gnarled and wide, its branches heavy with leaves that shimmered like glass, and at its base, the legendary lantern, glowing brighter than 100 dawns. But it was not alone. A figure waited beside it, neither man nor woman, old nor young, a shape of soft light with no face, yet somehow filled with kindness. Without speaking, it raised a hand toward her own lantern, then gestured to the earth at its feet. Aria understood. It was a test. Leave behind the light she clung to, and walk forward without it. Her fingers tightened around the worn handle. It had lit her way through the dark, kept the shadows at bay. It was safe. It was hers, but deep down she knew. Sometimes what we hold on to most are the very things that keep us from finding what lies beyond. With steady breath, she knelt and placed her lantern at the roots of the ancient tree. The light within it flared, brighter than she thought possible, and in its glow, Aria felt something warm settle in her chest. Not from the lantern, but from within herself. The figure's form shimmered, a faint smile seeming to bloom in its faceless shape, and then it vanished, leaving only the stillness of the clearing and the steady, silent pulse of the forest's heart. She rose and turned away, leaving the lantern behind. The path was no brighter than before. Shadows still clung to the edges. The sounds of night still stirred. But Aria felt no fear. A quiet courage took root in her soul, and each step forward felt lighter than the last. By the time the first glow of dawn painted the sky, Aria emerged from the trees. The villagers, eyes wide with disbelief and joy, gathered around her, for none before had returned from the heart of the forest. She said little of what she saw. She didn't need to. The new light in her eyes spoke for her, and though the villagers rebuilt their stories with her name now woven into them, Aria knew the truth. It wasn't the magic of the lantern that guided her, but the moment she chose to leave it behind. And deep within the forest, the ancient lantern remains, waiting for the next heart brave enough to let go. For the greatest light we carry is not the one in our hands, but the one we discover when we dare to walk alone. The end.